Hi, my name is Bryce, and I am from the Fat Loss Simplified podcast. And I joined the Online Business Academy for podcasters because I felt like I was stuck with my podcast growth, my email list growth, as well as client conversion. But by joining the Academy, I've been able to grow my podcast. As a matter of fact, it doubled within the first month and a half, as well as I began to see growth on my email list, and I saw some of those listeners convert into clients as well. If you finally want to see results from your podcast, and especially if you want to bring somebody from your podcast to become a client, then you need to join the Online Business Academy because, at least for me, it was the right decision. And I think it'll be the right decision for you as well.
Hey there, Pod Pals. Do you feel like you could use a little bit of help with your podcast launch, growth, or with converting your podcast listeners into becoming your best clients? I want you to head on over to my website, www.podcastingbusiness.school, and watch the 4-minute video that talks about who I help and exactly how I can help them out. Next, I want you to click on the Discovery Call button to set up a free podcast profit potential discovery call where we can talk about working together to help you reach your podcasting and online business goals. Head on over to my website, www.podcastingbusiness.school, and get signed up for your free podcast profit potential discovery call. What's up, Pod Pals? It's your buddy Adam. You're listening to Podcasting Business School. It's a show where I teach podcasters simple strategies to help you make more money with your online business. And today I've got a guest. And you know, when I bring a guest on, I don't do it often. So it's got to be somebody really, really good that's going to drop some serious knowledge. And I met this gentleman at his event that I spoke at in Cleveland last year. I'm going to be back there again this year, and you need to be there as well. We'll get into that in a second. But we are bringing Joe Pulizzi from Content Entrepreneur Expo on to the show. Joe, welcome to Podcasting Business School.
Adam, it is an honor. It's even more an honor that I'm one of the few guests you have. So I don't know what that means, but I'll take it.
I don't like to share the stage very, very often, Joe. My audience knows my 2/3 content rule for expert positioning. I preach it and I preach it, but you are somebody that adds so much flavor to the conversation that I like to have. And you've got a lot of experience in this space and my audience needs to learn from you. So here we are, man.
You just said the nicest way to say that somebody's old and they've been around for a long time. That's the best description. I've just been doing this content thing for long enough that, you know, people start to say, hey, what's that guy still doing around? So that's what we're going to talk about.
Still around. Maybe
still here, baby.
I'm already coming up with the title of the episode. He's still around. Joe Pulizzi.
Not dead yet. Content is here to stay.
Joe's not dead and neither is podcasting. Let's go. All right.
Good start. I like it.
I had a really hard time thinking of where I wanted to kick off this conversation because there's so many like starting points I'm curious about. But let's start with content marketing world, this giant thing that you helped kick off and create. Tell me the story about like why you decided to launch that first content marketing world event.
So I left my publishing position. I was vice president at a company called Penton Media. This is in 2007. And I felt that content marketing, which it wasn't called content marketing at the time, I felt this was going to be the thing. I'm like, oh my God, brands are going to have to learn how to tell their own stories in a consistent way. They're not doing it right now. We got Google, we got social media. The industry at that time was called custom publishing, but we went out and said, okay, no, you want to do this thing. It's called content marketing. We gave it a new spin. It worked fairly well. But from 2007 to 2009, I was basically blogging. That was my home base. And we were building an audience, but I'd productized a number of ways and none of them worked. And I was ready to pack it in. I literally, September 2009, I'm ready to give up. We had 15,000 subscribers at the time for the blog and the newsletter. Like that was going well, but I wasn't making any money. I had 2 small kids at the time. My wife wasn't working at a job. She was taking care of the kids. So I'm like, okay, what are we going to do? So I'm ready to dust off the LinkedIn or the resume or whatever. And then I started to say, hey, basically my wife said, look, you're not going to be happy working for anyone. Like we have to figure this thing out. I go back to the drawing board and I start looking at my blog comments. I'd looked at them before like a good creator, but I never really looked at them. And what they were asking for was not anything I was currently selling. They were asking for, Joe, do you do any training? Joe, are there any in-person events around the practice of content marketing? All these things. And those things weren't being done on a global scale. They were like small workshops and events around the country and around the world, but nobody was like doing the thing. And I said, all right, we're going to pivot. And we created, this is so September 2009. And then I started working on this new plan in May of 10. We created Content Marketing Institute. So it came out with this new brand. And we said, my whole goal, and I remember because I wrote this on a cocktail napkin, not that I was drinking. I actually was drinking at the time, but I wrote that on a cocktail napkin. I said, we are going to be the leading online resource for content marketing, for the strategy practice of content marketing. We're going to create the #1 print magazine in the industry, which became Chief Content Officer. And we're going to create the largest global event, in-person event for content marketing, which would be Content Marketing World. Now, granted, in May of 2010, none of these things happened, but that was the vision. And so we executed the plan. And what was the great thing about it, Adam, was that when we renamed, everything changed once we renamed. Content Marketing Institute just took off. Of course, we've been working for 2-3 years on really good content that was findable. So if you typed in like, what is content marketing? We were coming up in 3, 4, 5 different Google searches one way or another. And so we started to draw people to that. And then to get to the event, so the first event was like September 2011. That's kind of in the year prior. That's what I said, we're going to do that event. And we're like, can we get 100, 150 people maybe to come to Cleveland, Ohio for this first year event? Like, I'm hoping. We took out a room at the Renaissance Hotel, which is called Hotel Cleveland now, where we took out a room that would fit about 125. And I'm like, okay, here we go. Soon as we launched it, people started to sign up. I knew this thing was going to take off. We ended up recruiting Kevin Smith, Silent Bob, to come and speak as our closing keynote. We ended up getting 660 people there that first year. 4 years later, it was 4,000. And ultimately, that was our cash cow for Content Marketing Institute. I always wanted to exit the business from even when we didn't have anything. And we sold that business in 2016 to UBM for a lot of money. And we had a wonderful exit. And so even though the core parts of that business really happened, where we had the .com destination, we had the print magazine, which ultimately got killed by the new company, but Content Marketing World was the thing that remains. It still is the largest in-person event, even though I haven't been involved in it for 9 years now. But yeah, so that's the story. So I guess if there's a learning from it, Adam, is that you never know. Like, you might be doing something, and this is true with podcasting too. You might be doing something for 364 days, and you don't know that success is going to happen on 365.
Yeah.
You just don't know when it's going to happen. You just got to keep moving forward. It's not about motivation. It's about momentum. You just got to keep putting in the work. And I do believe, if you believe enough that you're going to make it happen, you'll make it happen. And it was a blessing that my wife was on my side with this whole thing, and we were together as a team, because I think if she said, Joe, go get a job in 2009, I probably would have said, oh, I'm going to, tuck my tail between my legs and I'm going to go get a job. But luckily we didn't have to do that.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because that was my main takeaway of that story too, is, I tell my listeners, and when I speak on stages, I talk about my first 3 years of podcasting. I made a total of $37 from Four Sigmatic Mushroom Coffee affiliate, Sweet Cash. And like, that wasn't paying the bills. So we all have that kind of watershed moment of like, okay, how long am I really just going to keep hammering through this before I try something else? And just like you said, like within by the end of year 5, I was a full-time podcaster. So end of year 3, $37, 2 more years, full-time podcaster. Sold my business, went all the way in.
Awesome.
So like, people, I don't know, like more people need to hear stories like this, because some people get into content creation, whether it's writing newsletters, blogging, video, YouTube content, podcasters, all the above. And they're like, Adam, I've released 10 episodes and I'm not full-time yet.
Oh, geez. Yeah. You're just getting started.
Why not? So what do you say to that person that's like thinking, okay, I'm going to be killing it at this. They're 25 episodes deep, still not killing it. Let's pump them up a little bit, Joe. Like, what do you got for that person?
So, So I'm lucky to interact with content entrepreneurs all the time like this. So we have these conversations, and usually I want to first listen to see where they're at. So is this a positioning thing? Is this they just haven't been in the game long enough thing? But let's just say that it's 25 episodes. That means I'm going to assume, they're 6-9 months into the game, which, by the way, is not even half the time you need to put in. So whatever you need to do to get in revenue, to get to what we found out from the Tilt research and a lot of other research out there, it takes about 18 to 24 months to get to a break-even level or to hit some profitability. That's on average. Some people do it less. Like John Lee Dumas obviously did it less with Entrepreneurs on Fire. I did it. I took much longer with Content Marketing Institute. So figure that out. But there generally is two problems. The secondary problem, but it goes along with it, is they're not consistent enough. So are you absolutely, like, let's say you're doing podcasting and it's a weekly podcast. Are you sending that podcast same time every week? Are you like putting in the work? Are you doing it? Because I'll say, oh, no, you did a podcast here and then you skipped 2 weeks, or you did 2 1 week or whatever. It's like, no. We need some consistency. But the number one thing is they truly do not have a differentiated tilt. And when I say tilt, I mean, where's your weirdness? Where is your niche? Who's your audience? All those things that come together to set you apart, that people want to listen to, that you want to become their favorite creator. They're going to set time in their schedule every week to listen to you. What is that? Generally, Adam, that's too broad. It's like I'll give you a really good example. Look at all the podcasts that have hit in the last 9 months around AI. I can take 99% of them and put them in a bucket, and they're just like marketing AI or AI for creators or leveraging AI. It's all the same. How are you going to differentiate? Well, I want to say, okay, well, maybe it's AI in the farming sector, and whatever. I mean, and how farmers can leverage AI to grow more crops. Whatever. That's different. That's something that will stand out. You know who your audience is. You don't have to have a big audience, remember? Like even with Content Marketing Institute, and when we had our podcast for CMI launched in 2013, This Old Marketing, we had a couple thousand regular listeners. That's all we needed, because a listener, if they went to Content Marketing World, was spending $2,000. So only need a few of those here and there to end up coming to Content Marketing World. So that's what I would say. So if you're stuck, you don't know where to go, look at your tilt. Is it specific enough? Are you helping enough? Do you need more to go deeper in the audience? Do you need to be more helpful? Are you talking about too many of your products? Like what is it that's not working? It's generally something in that area. And you see a lot of creators and podcasters feel like, oh, I don't want to go too niche. Well, here you go. You can't go too niche. You literally can't go. I thought that we were too niche when we came out with content marketing. I'm like, oh, now it's like, oh my God, it's everywhere. It's a critical part of every brand and every marketing organization. But at the time, you don't know. So those things, as you go, they will get bigger. You'll grow into it. You'll find revenue opportunities and go from there.
Joe, I love it when I bring a guest on and they reinforce things that I hammer my audience with. And so I'm not like, Adam's getting preachy about consistency again. I get destroyed. I love the Threads app. It's kind of like, the friendly version of Twitter. And I post 3 to 8 times a day on there. And I get destroyed on that app when I say, hey, guess what? You need to be putting out podcast content every single week. I've put out content every single week since 2015. I've never, ever, ever missed a week. Now, different than creating content every week. People can burn out from creating content every week. That's what we call batch recording. Record a few episodes, take a break, but still release it every week. So I get people like, you're going to make everyone burn out. I'm like, no, this is how you stand out, not burn out. And
such a good point. I mean, here's the thing. Let's say that you're a weekly podcast, and you're right. You can record. You don't have to record weekly. You could record 2 in a week. But let's say you miss 2 weeks. I'm going on vacation, or you do I'm not a big fan of podcast series. I'd rather see them go on. But whatever. Let's say that you skip 2 weeks. You know what happens in that 2-week period? They find somebody else. You might lose them forever. And not that I regret. Like in 2019. I took a complete sabbatical from podcasting. So I had 2 podcasts at the time, the Content Inc. podcast, which is a 5-minute podcast that I'm still doing today, and This Old Marketing podcast with Robert Rose. And I took a break from them about a year. Now we're up to about 500 episodes for each one of those, but I still have not gotten back that audience that we had when I lost that year. That's how, I mean, and I know it's a year and it's like, it's not 2 weeks, but if you, any time where you give people an opportunity to go out and search for another favorite creator, another favorite podcaster, they might never come back to you. So to your point, like, yeah, Robert and I were busy. We go on vacations, we do things, whatever. So sometimes in a week, we will record 3 podcasts. And then you just, everybody's smart, schedule them, we'll set it up that way, but at least we're there and we're talking to them when we're offering help into something. So I totally agree with you about that. And a lot of people just forget that, the behavior of a human being, you get attuned. It's like creature comforts. I'm comforted with this is my schedule. And all of a sudden you're going to pull that out from under them. You might have lost them forever. So don't let that happen.
Yeah. And podcasting is so easy to consume because they can be mowing the lawn. They can be walking on the treadmill. They can be doing deadlifts at the gym and we're still in their earbuds. And that's unique to the audio format, especially. And like you said, we pull ourselves out of that life routine. Now they listen to someone else while they're dropping their kid off from school every Wednesday or whatever. So we are in alignment, sir.
Exactly right. I love it. This is easy. This is like talking to myself.
You keep on saying things and like my audience is dying laughing because we are in complete agreement on these hot button points. Now, let me bring up another hot button point that you already mentioned, AI. All right. So 2-part question. Part 1, where do you see AI fitting into right now? Where do we need to be focusing as content entrepreneurs, as content marketers? But also, I've taken a stance where I'm not the anti-AI guy, but I promote the fact that I do not use AI to do any of my content. Like when I write my weekly newsletter, first paragraph, this was lovingly curated at whatever AM that I write it without the use of any AI. I call it out and then I drop my newsletter knowledge. So where does it fitting in? And then what about that opposite stance of kind of standing out by saying, hey, I actually didn't use AI to create anything?
Well, first of all, I'm happy that you call that out. I'm on your side, but not as strict. I use ChatGPT as a writing assistant for me. Actually, I was just talking to somebody about it. Like if I'll write something, and I have a newsletter that goes out every 2 weeks called Orange Letter, and I will complete whatever I'm talking about. I talked about multitasking this week, and then I'll throw it into ChatGPT and I'll say, what did I miss? Did I miss anybody really important that I should have cited? And so that's what I ask. And then I'll take that information and then myself, I will rewrite it. So that's how I use it as an AI writing assistant. So that said, look at everybody, your listeners are really smart. AI is changing the face of everything we know in every industry. You can talk about it. I have really negative concerns about the future of humanity, but we're not going to necessarily talk about that. If I'm a marketer today or a creator, I think you need to know. I think you need to experiment with whether it's Claude or Gemini or ChatGPT or whatever. You need to know what's possible. I already know, you and I know a lot of organizations that are setting up AI agents to do different things, to schedule their tasks, to do whatever. My concern, and this is an opportunity and a concern, so maybe this will get to answer your question. I think that the majority of content that people will engage with in, let's say, inside 3 years will be AI driven. They will be AI creators. They will be AI personas. They will be AI avatars, whatever you want to call them. You'll be following people on TikTok and Instagram or whatever that are not real people. And what I've learned in the past few months is that humans don't care. When you see like a Mark Zuckerberg come out and say that the cure for loneliness is going to be you buddying up with an AI entity and that's your new friend. That's scary. And it's also true because the biggest industry right now, the paying industry, are people that are finding mates, friends, whatever, using AI. I don't even know how to feel about that, Adam. All we know that it's happening. So let's just get back to creativity. If there's something in your process as a podcaster or a writer or whatever that you're terrible at and you need help and AI can fill that gap, go for it. But don't let it take your soul away from you. Don't let it take the thing that makes you creative, that gets up in the morning and do whatever. And I do believe the last part of this is, yes, there's going to be all this AI content. I believe that there are 1% of humans out there that are creators that can stand apart because they're human. And that's what I think we need to strive toward. I can't get into all the negativity where I think that these things are going to happen in these different industries. What I can focus on as a writer, as an author, as a creator, as a podcaster is say, look at, I feel that I have something significant to share. This is my differentiation and my tilt, and I'm going to go 100% in this direction with all the humanity I have. To get there, not the content itself, but if AI can help me get there in some way and support my business, great. Look at that. But don't have it be a replacement for your content. I really do believe that it's taking your agency away from you. So
Yeah.
I guess that's my take.
Well, yeah. And I think that people that are overusing AI to create their content, it makes them look like an expert, but it may actually prevent them from the journey to becoming an expert. Like I had to create bad content before I could create good content. I had to learn along the way. And I've gained expert status through over 1,000 podcast episodes in however many years like that. And can AI help you get there faster? Yes. But what if Joe listens to my show, he's like, Adam, you need to come and speak at my event, and I'm AI and everything. I get up on that stage, I am dead in the freaking water because it will show that I do not know what the hell I'm talking about.
That's right. I think that the fact that if you or I get up on stage, somebody could give us a topic and we can just go.
Yep.
We could just use our experiences. I mean, it's all about the journey. I mean, my experience, I went from 2000 to 20, so 9 years of talking with marketers to figure out that there was a problem here. I mean, I've got so many cases that I've been through personally. You can't replace that with AI telling you that this happened. That's why I love the AI assistant model. If AI says, hey, check this out, you go check it out.
Yeah.
Don't take it verbatim. And by the way, it's funny that we're having this conversation because I always check ChatGPT to see how wrong they are, because it's wrong all the time. Because I do this once a month. I'll say, tell me about Joe Pulizzi's background. Do it all because I want to see what they're pulling from. I did it last year one time, and I said, tell me Joe Pulizzi's favorite color. And it came back with purple. Well, everybody knows my favorite color is orange, if you can tell by the background. Everything's orange. My books are orange. I've got my orange watch on. Everything's orange. They were wrong. I had to go find out, clean that up. Well, I asked the question today. It didn't know when I was born. It didn't know where I went to school. And that content is out there. It's pulling from the wrong information. So I have to go and correct ChatGPT and say, this source is wrong and this is the correct information. That's just about me. That's not about the 80 things that you as in you listener are going through on ChatGPT and typing in. You have to assume it's incorrect. AI is assume incorrect. So assume it's incorrect. And then you come back and it can help you, but you have to do the work behind it, or you're going to get yourself into some big trouble.
Assume incorrect. I always
That's
say
Andy Crestodina, by the way. He came up with that. I have to give him credit. And I heard it. I loved it ever since.
I'm going to borrow the hell out of that. I always say I use AI, Atom Intelligence, limited quantity. Like that's my little AI joke. Don't tell anybody. I'll probably bust that out at your event this year when I'm up on stage.
Go for it.
So today's talk will be all about AI. Oh, Atom Intelligence. Sorry, you're in the wrong room. So AI, obviously, really, really hot content entrepreneur, content marketing topic. You've got your pulse on all this. You're connected to all the connectors. Like you are at the epicenter of this industry. What else do we need to be paying attention to right now? Like in the content marketing space, as far as like growth, like how are people really getting some traction, growing? Like what are some habits? Just
sure.
What are you hot on right now?
I'm hot on, this is going to be so old school. I don't know if you're going to like this, Adam, but I'm hot on the don't do list. I'm seeing the best creators in the world focus on one area They're saying, screw the plan B. This is the area that I can be the most helpful. This is the area that I'm being the most curious. And they go to whatever direction they're going to, and they pick a platform. They pick a home base. I think that I would say, Adam, your home base is podcasting.
Yep.
My home base is my newsletter, and secondarily is my podcast. But if I'm starting out fresh today, I need to pick. I need to pick the place where this is where people find out about me, what I have to offer, what I can give, and ultimately what I'm going to monetize as a creator. So when I see a creator start, generally we feel that more is better. So we're like, okay, well, I'm going to do the podcast and I'm going to start the newsletter. Maybe got a Substack over here too. Going to do the thing on LinkedIn. I'm going to try the Twitter thing. Maybe I should be on TikTok. How about some YouTube videos? And they do all these things. And what's happening is you take all your content energy, and instead of putting that into one or two places, newsletter and podcast, I'm spreading that out, and you're creating mediocrity. You don't even know you're doing it, but you're doing it. I've seen it happen over and over again. So I've been blessed to go into some multi-billion-dollar brands over the years, and I go in and I'll do a cursory, what they call a content audit. It's not really content audit, but I'll go in and I'll see what they're doing. And they always come back and say, Joe, you're the content guy. What are we doing wrong? Do we need to do a new show? Do we need to be on TikTok? What do we need to do? And every time I go in, I'll say, you got content run amok. You're going everywhere. You can't be great at anything because you're good at everything. So you need to figure out what you're going to kill, and we need to move those resources over the thing that you're amazing at. So then we'll go through and say, what's really breaking out? What's really working for you? Oh, this seems that we're getting good feedback on this, and this person, we saw this buying pattern, or we're getting good listenership on this pod. I'm like, okay, let's focus on those things that you're doing really well. What if you took more resources and more attention on those things? Could it be the best podcast in the world on that topic to that person? Yes, it could. You could be the favorite of the audience you're trying to target of everything else they engage with. But you're over here, I call it mamby-pamby, doing all sorts of things over here when you should be over here. So I love to come out and say, oh my God, this creator's doing this or this creator's doing that. But generally what I'm seeing is the ones that are focusing on building a base, one thing to one audience at a time, at least 9 to 12 months, they're very successful. Then you diversify. So if you're listening to this and you haven't built what I call building the base, if you haven't built a base of a minimum viable audience yet, where you're actually starting to see some revenue come in, you got to focus on that one thing and being great at that, and then you diversify. And by the way, this is not rocket science. This is just media 101. If you look at how any media company that you know, whether it's your local newspaper, whether it's the New York Times, whether it's Red Bull Media House, how they always started by doing one thing really well to one audience, and then they diversify. It's just today we think because we have 1,000 channels, we need to be everywhere our customers are at. And that's the big lie that everyone's been telling you. You do not have to. At first, you want to start by being great at one thing.
Yeah. I mean, once again, total agreement. It's like we're sharing a mind today.
Come on, you got to come back with me. You got to say, no. You got to be everywhere.
No, I think I posted on the Threads app yesterday. It's like a lot of podcasters come to me and they say that they're not growing, and they think it's because they aren't doing enough, but it's because they're doing too many things. And they're a lot of mediocre instead of a couple good. Less but better is actually my theme of 2025. So,
oh, that's unbelievable. So I guess the tip that I would say, so this goes for podcast to podcast or newsletter to newsletter. I always have found that's the best growth. So if you want to grow your podcast, you should be on other podcasts. If you want to grow your newsletter, you need to be mentioned in other newsletters. It's very hard for you to promote your podcast in a newsletter and then have them make the jump. You don't even know if that's a podcast listener per se. So focus on and let's say that 100% of your time is taken up with I'm doing the podcast, I'm marketing the podcast, whatever. You need to be spending probably of that 100%, 25-30% on content creation and 70 to 75% on getting the word out about your podcast. And most of that is just talking to influence, like you and I are having this conversation. Like, I want people to come to CEX. I want people to listen to my podcast. It might help that I go on your show. Not that I'm doing it because of that, but this is what we want to teach people to do. So if you're stuck and you want to see more people listen to your podcast, well, you should be, where's your audience hanging out on other podcasts? You're not starting a new thing. You're leveraging the thing you've already built and sharing that out to more people that may be relevant for it. So that's just I see people like advertising their podcast on newsletters and articles all the time, which is fine, which great. You let people know about it, but you're not going to get a conversion of people to listen. You need to do that on the format that you're at.
That's tremendous advice, man. And you've mentioned a couple of times, simplifying to the podcast, the newsletter. Like, I grew my podcast to, I think, over 500,000 downloads before I started really drilling in on my newsletter. Now my newsletter, I'm really nailing that. Like you said, you start to add after you've already got traction. And now, holy crap, like the combo of the podcast plus newsletter, kind of independently valuable pieces of content, I freaking love it. And I'm seeing tremendous business results from that combo specifically, where I'm like, I don't need to be on LinkedIn. I don't need to be on YouTube. I quit creating video content because I want to double down on my newsletter stuff as that independently valuable second piece of the puzzle there. What you are newsletter primary, what's going well in that space for you as far as like scooping up, obviously promoting amongst other newsletters and things like that, but any top of mind newsletter audience growth strategies that you love?
So I, like you, I cut down my social media significantly. So, I mean, I built up, I don't know, a couple 100,000 people on Twitter. I was starting to get going on Instagram and and LinkedIn has generally been the best. I think I've got like 250,000 people follow me on that, but this is after like a long, long time. I mean, I was around when LinkedIn was created, folks. I was doing content. So I got a longer track record. I did last year start to republish my newsletter as a LinkedIn newsletter.
Okay.
And that has worked fairly well. I got a little bit of pushback saying, well, Joe, you're kind of sending out two and you want owned land and you're going on rented land. But I have found out that I've picked up some people that want to subscribe to me directly. And I've been selling more books and the other offerings that I have coming from LinkedIn. So I only focus on LinkedIn as my social channel. I'll post 1 or 2 times a week, but I absolutely have my newsletter going through LinkedIn. So I send that up. Basically, I have my own newsletter that goes out on Thursday, and then I republish it on Monday, going out to like 50,000 or so total people. So that works really well. And what we also, with our podcast, since we're talking about LinkedIn, we produce the podcast on Friday. It goes out Friday at 4 a.m. and has for the last 10 years. But we also live stream that. We use StreamYard as well. And we live stream that at 8 in the morning on my feed on LinkedIn, at 11. Robert's out in Pacific time. So he does his at 8 in the morning Pacific time for his group. That's just kind of what we fell into. I don't think there's a right or wrong, but that works really well because we end up getting another 5,000 to 10,000 people watching our LinkedIn, where we've got an audience there. And that seems to be working relatively well. So just focusing on really good content in the newsletter, republishing that on LinkedIn, focusing on really good, we want our direct listeners on Spotify and iTunes and all that stuff, or Apple Podcasts. And then also we want to distribute in different ways without doing any necessarily additional work, but people are finding us that way as well. So that's kind of the format that we've got working, and it seems to be working pretty well.
Okay. So I want to kind of pull my listeners aside by the ear and make sure that they just paid attention to what you just said. Like, I think we could distill the last 30 minutes or so of our conversation here for the listeners and go, okay, step 1, make sure that you are creating consistent and consistently improving content. And then number 2, have a freaking content marketing strategy. Like Joe just said, what they've been doing is what they've been doing, but they are accountable to that process. It's not, well, let's just put out some stuff and then hope, if I got time, I'm going to market some stuff. And I feel like the main podcast, content promotion strategy is like, oh, damn, I'm so tired from just putting out the content, and I'll get to it when I get to it. Like that's people's strategy. And that is not a strategy. And what you just described, it's just have something, podcast goes out on this day, live stream goes out on this day, newsletter this day, LinkedIn repurpose newsletter this day, and just do that and just be consistent with it. And that will be so much better than you randomly getting to it when you can, because you probably won't actually get to it.
Yeah. And I'm also, I mean, I'm not averse to leveraging social media. We recently started a YouTube channel. We never had one, but Robert and I mean, basically we were recording via Skype, rest in peace, forever. And then we said, oh, we could easily jump over to something like StreamYard. I mean, we're talking anyways. We have an opportunity. Some people like to watch us. Fine. I am skeptical. I still like the whole idea of podcasting is that you can multitask. I love that. I mean, I listen to all my podcasts while I'm running or working out or mowing the lawn, as you said, and those types of things. But we're like, there might be a good portion of our audience where we don't have to take hardly any additional work and get the word out and market that. So we started our YouTube channel. We have got somebody that has a couple different title slides for us to see what's working and what's not. We don't do this ourselves. We outsource that. And then we've got that person, they'll take a couple clips and throw them into and see if they work on YouTube Shorts. So we'll take like 30 seconds here or 60 seconds here. And I'm not involved in that process. We have a person that does that. And some of them do well. We've had some that gets 10, 15,000 views, and we've had others that get 10. We're just learning and trying to figure it out. But it does seem that our video is picking up. There is some traction there for watching us, and I have no idea why. So with very, very minimal additional effort and cost, we're able to do that and test it out. And I think we're still in testing mode, but there's enough potential there to see, well, maybe that's part of our marketing strategy.
Well, I think I figured out the secret to your video. Joe's too polite to tell you guys this, but him and his co-host show up in orange Speedos while they do the video content. So
that was the show that nobody watched. There was a couple people, but it got really weird.
The streams are just blowing up over here. Now, I can't let you escape without talking about the event that's coming up in August. This is how fired up I am to attend this event. I will be on stage on my 45th birthday at this event.
Oh my God.
I am there because I learned so much last year. You assembled like the Avengers of freaking content entrepreneurship. And this year I'm psyched, like the lineup that's going to be there. I'm extremely excited and honored to be able to get up there and speak, but also just to be in a seat learning. So give us a preview, give us a sneak peek. Like, what can we expect? Just tease us a little bit here, Joe.
Well, first of all, you were amazing last year, so it was really easy to say, would you come back and speak for us again? So Content Entrepreneur Expo, this will be our 4th year doing this event. So as I got in, I ended with the content marketing model and went into the content entrepreneur model, which I love this industry. August 24th to 26th in Cleveland, Ohio. And if you want to know our differentiation and our tilt, I mean, the organization putting this on is called The Tilt. So we really believe in your differentiation. We really focus on helping content creators become financially independent by not having to focus so much on social media. We believe in social media. We want you to leverage it, but I never like the events where you go and say, you got to be on YouTube, you got to be on TikTok, you got to do all the things, when we're really talking about, we want more control over our businesses. We don't want to be a slave to the algorithm. We want to focus on newsletters and podcasts as our core two, which you and I have been talking about this whole time. So that's really the creators and content entrepreneurs that we bring that have built 6, 7, 8-figure businesses with not a lot of people that work for them through the newsletter, book, podcast, the things that they're leveraging. Like we've got Jay Klaus coming back again, who's great. And he is leveraging YouTube like crazy, but his home base are really things that he can control. His membership, his newsletter, his podcast, those types of things are really, really critical. So that's what we're going to go share. We've got an all-star lineup. Go to cex.events and check it out. But that's kind of the vibe you're coming into. You're coming into a lot of people that have been around, a lot of second career people that found their passion. They wanted to be financially independent. They didn't want to have to go work a job every day. And they found their niche where they can really be helpful. And then we really focus on how do you build audience? How do you create the best operations so you can be a multi-million-dollar company, and how do you drive revenue in all the ways that you can drive and get those people back to the things that you can control and monetize those people and build, ongoing relationships with people that know, like, and trust you and want to give money to you. So,
and honestly, one of my favorite parts about the event is that there's a lot of just intermingling of like, it wasn't like you go to some of these events, you and I have both been to events that's like fancy speaker people over here around like the red roped off area, and then all the minions over here on these other seats. And it's just like everybody's just all mixed in with everybody.
Thank you.
And that felt really good. It allowed for connections. And honestly, if you guys are a listener, like I will be there. And if you've never attended an event that I've been at, you need to come get connected with me, and then I connect you with everybody else. I'm like, hey, you need to meet so-and-so. Hey, you need to meet so-and-so. Here's the person I cannot wait to see speak. Chanel Basilio, Growth in Reverse.
Fantastic.
I'm obsessed with her newsletter. She's doing like this 30-day thing right now that it's just blowing my mind. I'm learning so much from her. I am going to fanboy freak out on her at this event. So send a warning to Chanel. But no, like I think the lineup, I thought last year's lineup would be hard to top, and you topped it. So I hope that everybody can come out and join me at the event in Cleveland on my birthday. Let's go. Podcast
and a good time in Cleveland. I mean, if you're going to come to Cleveland, you want to come in August and September. So, we've got that. And I thank you for saying that. I think we've really worked hard to try to create enough opportunities where people that are first-time attendees or new, maybe you're just getting started as a content entrepreneur, where you can go up to people and ask real questions. And we've got lots of time for that built in. So you can talk to people who are going through the same challenges you're going through and really take away and come out of that meeting feeling like you can actually do it. Because like I said in the beginning, you have to believe that you can do this. You have to get up every morning and say, I'm going to make this happen. I am making this happen. I'm becoming a better podcaster. I'm helping my audience in this way, that way, and this way. And I'm going to be financially independent, and I'm going to have all my dreams come true. And you got to say that to yourself every morning and every night before you go to bed, and you will make it happen.
I can't think of anything else to say. I can't think of a better way to cap off this episode, Joe. Dude, I appreciate you. I appreciate what you're doing in the content space. It's helping me. It's helping a lot of people. And thanks for coming on the show today to dispense a little bit of that knowledge and sprinkle it on my audience here today.
Keep doing what you're doing, and I'll see you on your birthday in Cleveland.
Yes, sir. Right, Pod Pals. We got lots of homework, a lot of ideas brewing now, and it's time to take action on it. And I'm going to wrap up this episode by sending you out into the world, wishing you health, happiness, and many downloads. We'll see you next time. If you need a little bit of help with your podcast launch, growth, or monetization strategy, head on over to my website, www.podcastingbusiness.school, and get signed up for a free podcast profit potential discovery call. During this free 20-minute discovery call session, I'm going to analyze your podcasting brand and tell you where I think you're missing on an opportunity for profits. Next, I'm going to tell you exactly what I suggest that you do as your next step. If I've got an offer that would help you accelerate the process, we can discuss working together as well. So head on over to my website, www.podcastingbusiness.school, and click on the Discovery Call button to schedule your free Podcast Profit Potential Discovery Call.